The clock is ticking. Sequence 43. ***, she got the glass of water from her sister and placed it on the table. Thanks. So tell me about what happened. Just forget about what happened. I need you to pack your stuff and leave my house. What do you mean I should pack my stuff and leave your house? Are you kicking me out? Yes. Where am I gonna go at this time? She glanced at her phone. I don't know, but just get your stuff and leave. What have I done, if I may ask? A lot of stuff has been going on around here. Firstly, Tess left with no reasonable explanation, and now this issue with the errand guy. I can't do this anymore. She let out a shaky breath. So now I am to blame for all the bad things going on in your life, like really? Am I the one who told you to fuck around with this errand guy in the first place? You and I both know you set me up. You made your bed, lie in it, sister. Leave. Fine. She shrugged and left for her room. Maddie felt her heart beat faster than it should. She wrapped her arms around herself and tried to calm down. A few seconds later she picked the glass of water and gulped down half the water and set the cup down on the table. When she stood up, she suddenly started feeling heavy. Before she could even process what was happening, her head started spinning and her legs turned to jelly. Oh Lord, what's going on? She suddenly felt her legs give way from under her and she collapsed on her knees. Chrissy walked back into the living room and found her sister lying on the floor. She couldn't help but laugh. For a minute she had thought the plan wouldn't work. By the time I am through with you, you will regret ever messing with me. A few minutes later, Maddie felt a hand wrap around her and led her out of the house. She desperately wanted to scream, but she couldn't. Her body had gone limp and her vision was blurry. She didn't understand what was going on. The dizziness made it hard for her to focus. They lead her into another apartment. She could hear voices, but she couldn't get what was being said. The dizziness made it hard for her to focus. Then she was in a room and they made her lie on the bed. Minutes later, a shirtless man came on top of her and pressed his body against hers. She tried to push him off, but she was too weak. Stop, she said weakly, exhausted. Her pleas fell on deaf ears. She kept drifting in and out of consciousness as he kissed her all over. Then he began to undress her. Be careful with her, a familiar voice spoke. Eventually her eyes closed. Everything went black and her body stayed still. She woke up confused. She looked around and realized she was in her room lying next to Trini. She closed her eyes for a few seconds as she tried to remember what had happened. She couldn't remember much. She knew that she had been arguing with her sister over the errand issue. She knew she had told Chrissy to move out of her house, but the rest was a complete blank. She turned to her clock and realized it was time to get up. She pulled off the covers and stretched melodramatically, yawning loudly, and she took off her nightdress. Wrapping a towel around her body, she walked out of the room. When she entered Chrissy's room, it was empty, indicating that her sister had left the previous night. She walked into the bathroom and took a quick shower. Time was not on her side. She had an appointment at 9 a.m. She quickly got dressed after her short bath, then she prepared breakfast for Trini and got her up and ready for school. After breakfast, they walked out of the house and locked up before heading towards her car. They got inside the car and she drove off. She dropped Trini at school first before she drove herself for work. Morning, Gracie, she yawned as she walked towards her office. Morning. She placed her bag on her table and sat at her desk, then she grabbed her phone and called Chard. The phone went unanswered. She tried one last time only to find that his phone was now off. He was probably still angry with her. She made a mental note to visit him at lunch. She closed her eyes and thought about all the things they had ever done together. She missed him terribly. She couldn't afford to lose him. Maddie. Gracie's voice brought her out of her daydreaming. What? You've got a call coming through. Thanks. She answered the call. You kicked out my child out of your house in the middle of the night. Her mother yelled on the other end of the line. Mom, you bastard, I will deal with you, she said and hung up the phone. Can my day get any worse? Maddie sighed. He sat alone in his house contemplating his future. He had been certain Maddie was the one for him, but now he was back to square one. He felt the tendrils of disgust tugging at him each time he thought about the video, unable to believe Maddie could hurt him this badly. He was tired, life seemed hard and complicated for him right now. He took the bottle of whiskey and took a large gulp. He had been drinking for a few hours now. He wanted to forget. He was ready to take another gulp, but Emma walked in and snatched the bottle from his hand just as the mouth of the bottle was about to touch his lips. "What are you doing? What do you want, Emma?" he asked drunkenly. "I went to your workplace because I wanted us to discuss Theo's upcoming birthday, but I was told you didn't go for work because you are unwell, and now I get here, I find this mess. What is going on, Chard?" He looked up at her and started to cry. "Maddie cheated on me," he said. She wrapped her arms around him and as he hugged her tightly. He was never one to cry over women, but his heart was shattered. He had thought she was different from the rest, but she was worse. "It's going to be okay," she said softly. "I can't do this anymore. I love Maddie a lot. I didn't expect her to hurt me like this." She was sitting next to him on the couch, holding his hand, comforting him when his phone beeped, letting her know she had received a message. "Maddie is on her way over there. Get your act together," the text read. "Let me help you," she whispered softly. She placed her hands on his shoulders and gently massaged them. He stiffened. "Let it all out," she said. Her hands started to make their way down to his chest. When he didn't protest, she let them go a bit lower. "I can make you forget Maddie in an instant." He grabbed her hand just as she was about to touch his belt. "I don't think I can do this," he said. "As you can, Chard. She cheated on you first." She trailed her hands down his chest again, feeling the ripple of his abs. He stopped her wandering hands. "I can't do this, Emma." "You can." She slammed her lips into his before he could protest. He tried to resist for a brief moment. Her tongue licked the seam of his lips, seeking entrance. Eventually he opened his mouth and her tongue met his. He began to kiss her roughly, sucking and biting her lips. He wanted to lose himself in her so he could forget about Maddie. She didn't know how long they had been kissing till the door flew open and Maddie barged in. They both separated at the realization that someone had walked in on them. "Ma. TTIE, he stammered. "He should go. I am sorry for barging in like that." And with that she spun on her heel and ran straight to her car. She climbed in, slamming the door shut. For a few seconds she sat there in the driver's seat, pondering why her life was this complicated. When she finally got back to the office, she washed her face over and over, trying to get rid of the images of what she saw. However, she couldn't forget the smug look on Emma's face.